Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. You know, when I look into the camera and see the spot on my head where my headset largely rests, and B, the mostly empty shelves behind me, it is quite a journey. Don't mind the cereal. I got sponsor reads this week coming up on YouTube, so you'll be seeing the Magic Spoon cereal at like the start of a few videos, probably like 3 if I had to guess or something in that vein. Either way, so I'm actually super tired because it's daylight saving today. I'm actually, I guess after the coffee, I'm not doing too bad, but I forgot spring forward, fall back. So I was like, oh, I'm getting an hour of sleep, daylight saving. Woohoo. No, I stayed up late and lost an hour. I'm all fueled up. I did a bunch of cooking this weekend, so I got plenty of food in the house, but I'm kind of dumb. So I didn't sleep a whole lot. I still got a little bit of coffee left right here, thankfully. So that will hopefully sustain me through this. And I looked down, and it didn't look like there were too many comments, but there were a lot of multi-part comments. So who knows? We'll see what kind of video this ends up being. As for this week, I am working on Deep Dungeon guides, but if those don't come out, I already have videos for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with Saturday being State of the Realm, Friday being my Final Fantasy III review, which I delayed last week, Thursday being my Heaven's Ward raid rankings, I think, Wednesday being, I think it's either the 2.3 retro or the Black Mage retro. I have both of them on standby. They're both done and made. And Tuesday, if I don't have the Deep Dungeon guide out, or at least one of them out by then, is going to be 3 franchises other than Final Fantasy that I love. It's just a quick video I threw together with some of those things because people are usually surprised to hear that I'm a huge fan of something or that, because they just never see it on my channel. So I definitely want to get those that out. But if I release the Deep Dungeon guide on any of those days, those all get pushed back a week. That's just how I'm doing content now, and it's a bit relaxing because I don't feel like I need to just go as ham at things, or if I do, I'm just setting up like weeks in advance, and then if I have a video on the day, I just push a video back, and then it just keeps me set up. So I actually have more time for myself in general, which is, right now means I get to just move a bunch of stuff. I don't have too many other belongings other than like my workstation and a couple of other things. Other than that, in fact, what's left there isn't even mine. So I'm almost all set, but I'll still be in this space with the empty background probably for another, I don't know, like a little bit under 2 months, I suppose. I'm just not moving into the new place until like end of April-ish. And I might have something else that I need to do around that time too. So that might be around a time where you don't see a whole lot if I don't have things prepped ahead of time. But hopefully I do, because we should have a live letter in April. At some point, we have the pack stuff at the end of the month, and then I'm still doing the weekly reviews. It's just, dude, I've got stuff. I've got content, so please engage with all the content because YouTube's been super weird, although the last week or so has been a whole lot less weird. Either way, with that, let's get into Q&A so I can get to, well, I would say relaxing, but I'm working on the Deep Dungeon guide. So maybe not relaxing, but you'll see. Either way, before we get into the questions, thanks to our sponsors over on Patreon. They don't have to support. They choose to support. It's always an option there if you enjoy the channel and you want to support it more. There's also super thanks, which I thank on every weekly video. And other than that, just enjoy all the content. It's available for free. I don't money gate any content, which I know is a popular thing to do. So just be sure to enjoy everything. And I don't know why I keep saying that, because I don't know how to move on to the next topic. Anyway, with that, let's get to the questions, shall we? Question number 1, hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hope you enjoy the new relic step. You know what? That's close enough to a hello. That starts with a well wish of some kind. So I'll count that. Do you think we'll ever get Omicron emotes again, now that there's an Omicron Ultimate? Well, I mean, I know you mean Omega, but yeah, what do you mean emotes again? I guess I'm confused at the question. I don't understand what the actual question is, but sure, I guess. I don't know how to answer it. Hashtag MWMRH, hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Should have just said the second one. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hello, and many salutations and extra hellos in case anyone misses one. No, the other one, I'll count. If you start with a well wish, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Hope you're having an amazing day, evening, week, month, year, decade. Well, I don't know about decade. That's a lot of time for things to go wrong. I'm really loving all the retrospective videos, and something I've always wondered of, I'm always wondering of, is what were people thinking after each patch? What were the theories when all of these events were going on? I joined on late Shadowbringers, and specifically when all the Scions were getting yanked to the first. Would have loved to be playing at that time, just to be part of the speculation. People were largely guessing that correctly, oddly enough. I would say there was a large portion of people who did guess it correctly, and didn't like think they were all being like killed off. Like, we knew better than that at the very least, but. Yeah, no, that was actually not too crazy a time. I don't know if there's any plans to doing a video of some of the theories at different patches. The thing is, though, that's not well documented outside of finding like old forum posts. So like that would be kind of the only way to do that. I guess that's not a bad idea. I do like going through a lot of the old forum posts. We might even do another forum reaction video based on 6.35, because I'm sure there's some fantastic forums over there. The 6.35. That's a maybe. I might do that one. But yeah, I guess I can always keep this in mind. On a different note, I think you didn't like Scarlet Violet that much, but have you kept playing the raids? The raids is the thing I hated most. I didn't do them when it was out because they were so god awful. So no, I do not engage with their raids at all. I just shiny hunt, and by just shiny hunt making it sound present tense, it's really a lot more past tense because I haven't touched it since like December or something like that. But no, the raids is like the number one thing I think is awful about Scarlet and Violet, and that's in a list of other awful things about it. So not the most excited of the bunch. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, I like your name. I like your name too. It's a color, which is not something I'm super familiar with, but you know, I got it. Well, and sun, but you know. Pure speculation here. One reason they're gradually removing dots could be because they want to give them all to one job. No. They're getting rid of dots because it's just Final Fantasy XIV's dot system isn't good. Not to mention the main reason why they added dots to so many jobs back in A Realm Reborn and eventually in Heavensward as well was because they felt the need to force players to stay engaged at all times. So they essentially, instead of having, I guess, things that jobs were, it's hard to describe because I can't make such a general sweeping statement without being partially incorrect. So there's some nuance here. They essentially just didn't have as ground job thematics back then. And as such, in order to keep players engaged, they basically had them have 2 or 3 combos they had to juggle, and everyone had like a dot or 2 they had to juggle, and then some jobs were built on top of the dots, like Summoner and Bard. And it was just this really, really weird time and place, and they've since moved away and are putting power in job mechanics and job gauges instead of just saying, well, you have to make sure you press this button every 30 seconds or you're going to start losing damage. And I guess everything boils down, like if you really want to be like a reductionist about it, everything boils down to that, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, of course. But instead of it being something that's just there for the sake of being there, they wanted to have some integration with the job. I personally don't think they'll ever do a dot related job of their own volition. If enough people ask for it, they may do one eventually down the line. But let's just say I'm not optimistic about that. Hashtag Sunday evening edits with Mr. Happy. Damn right. Greetings, Mr. Happy. Hey, how you doing? You doing all right? I'm doing all right. I hope your move preparations are going well. As you can see, I'm looking for a new place to move in with my partner. We'll be doing move prep as well in the future, so looking forward to that. Yeah, one of the things I was worried about most was I don't have a lot of, the belongings I have, I don't have a connection to, an attachment to, because they're mostly like collector's editions or merchandise. I have very few belongings, functional belongings, that I have in this shared space. Like I have what I consider the necessities. I have bathroom stuff. I have toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo. All that stuff. But in terms of kitchen stuff, pretty much Mel has been buying stuff like that for years. So I had to, get prepared to do that. I ended up setting up a wish list, and I've had that on Twitch, and a lot of people have contributed. I have a very stocked kitchen now. Probably still missing a few things, but a very stocked kitchen. at this point. So that's going to be fun because I do plan on doing like an apartment warming stream and doing all sorts of fun little things and like unboxing everything and showing everyone all the things that are there. And it should be like a fun and engaging time. And I'm probably going to be doing a whole bunch of other events once I move into the new place because, well, you know, I just want to play catch up a little bit, I suppose, with finances after going through what I'm going through. Thank God it was like 6 weeks of no rent for that place, so it means I could get it as quickly as possible and then really only pay 2 weeks of overlapped rent and then be moved into the new place and be all set. It was like the dream scenario for me. I just want to give you one extra hello and one extreme hello to carry till next week. I probably won't remember that, but I'll try. Sincerely not, I remember it. 3 questions, hopefully answerable to the best of your abilities. Well, you know what? I've had unanswerable questions, so fingers crossed on this one. I know you don't watch 14 content from other content creators, but I've noticed that most of the main content creators are still going strong. But if any of them were primarily healers, they've all stopped making any content. Do you think that is because State of Healers is very balanced, or is just nothing to talk about? Well, you can't make Final Fantasy XIV is not built in a way where you can build a ton of content just around one small thing. You kind of have to be willing to jump into a lot of different ponds, because what are you going to do? You're going to make, an Astro video every week that talks about like one particular element? I mean, yeah, you can do that. People absolutely break down content ideas into multiple videos, even though they could be one. I've done it before too. It's not that unusual of a thing. But if you're just a healer making content, you're at best making content like maybe a couple times a month. And then if, you just don't want to make it, or you just lose interest in it, it's really easy to lose interest in just doing content creation, especially when you just kind of do it for the sake of doing it, because you may just not want to do it. It's not like your livelihood depends on it or anything like that. Then you just decide you don't want to do it anymore. And then it's a simple move from there. So it's just one of those things that people start and stop playing. People have interests that wane and wax and wane, and it's just they're not always going to be around. I don't think it's any one particular thing. I think it's just players choosing when they want to play and when they want to make content, and that's all it is. Because even though I main a bunch of stuff, but I wouldn't say I make like a ton of dancer resource videos or a ton of monk resource. I don't do that, even though I do play those jobs. So yeah, there's a whole lot of angles to it. Is Final Fantasy XIV solo balance for all jobs and I'm just bad, or is it not? Well, I mean, soloing's not really a thing. I mean, yeah, there's deep dungeon solo and there's like a few activities you can solo, but every job does it differently, but all fine. Feels like if you're in a solo instance, you're a healer. The game not only gives you an extra healer, also feels like your DPS is hampered. No, it's like the same. Honestly, it's barely any different in terms of clear speed. So yeah, no. For the story completion, it's irrelevant. There's no real problems or downside. And do you think they'll ever do an expansion trailer where the warrior light will be a healer or a caster? If the caster is something akin to red mage, yes. Like if there was going to be a caster that the warrior of light would have been, it would have been red mage, I feel. And that's just because I think they always want the warrior of light to be portrayed as front line. Because he's the warrior of light. Like, they don't want to show him, like, hanging out in the back while somebody else does something. They want him to be in the front. That's why he's been a warrior, a paladin, a gunbreaker, and a dark knight. I'm sorry, he's never been a gunbreaker. And Thancred was the gunbreaker. He's been 3 tanks, 2 and 3 melees, pretty much in all of the trailers. And I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to constantly make him a frontliner of some kind. Especially not a healer. I definitely don't think healer. But if a caster, if they do like a magic melee style job, like an enhancement shaman or something, that for sure I think would be the first time you would see the Warrior of Light be a caster, and maybe the only way you'd see it. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hashtag not really a question. Well, at least you let me know. Hey, Happy, hope things are going smooth for you and EO. Yeah, I've gotten 3 clears. None of the I haven't had any time for solos. I've been doing so many light party groups. Our first day went completely tits up because one of our members got sick, so we started a 3-person save file. The next day we started over and leveled their ether pool when they weren't sick anymore, and then we didn't complete that run, so the next day the 3 of us who started the first save file went and finished that. Then I had a day to solo and I died, so I had to start over, so I started that save over. And then on Saturday I did, a couple hours of working on a solo file, and then did a light party group. And then today daylight saving messed me up so much I didn't want to risk going in when my senses weren't all the way there. And then I did a light party group, which is, way less stressful. It's like 3 hours to go from 21 to 100 with a light party. So That's how it's been going. So I've barely even gotten any attempts at solo. Thinking about current relic steps and why it feels flat. Tomes feel like RNG pity systems and gacha games. Feel like buying things with tomes would be better if you also earned items in some other way. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, tomes is just like the ultimate like reductionist way, and the second time I've said that, reductionist way of handling it, because everything you do gets tomes. So this technically means everything you do works towards a relic. But when you have multiple steps back to back on tomes, and your tomes almost feel like they're locked, like you've jailed them away into this one particular thing. Because if you want to buy stuff, you want to buy tomestone mats to craft with, or if you want to buy any gear with the uncapped tomestones, it's like you kind of feel like you can't until you're done with these. And I don't know. I just think it would have been better to have something objective based that wasn't based in tomes, or at the very least that tomes were only one of the answers to. So you could go about this in multiple ways, and then that lets you work on multiple relics at the same time. So I just think 2 steps in a row of tomes is too much. If they had waited another patch and then done tomes again, that I would have understood. But this is just too much. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope all has been good for you. I'd say so. Same with you. I have 2 Ultimate related questions. Sure. 1, Square Enix seems to have found a good formula, story series then raid series based Ultimates. Can you think of a reason why they would forego that trend? I know a popular one in the community is a Kefkad Warring Triad Ultimate. It's just that there are other themes. And I'm not going to lie, they're going to run into an issue soon. What the hell are they doing for the Stormblood MSQ? Like, Shinryu's the only good boss from that. And you know what? It actually makes sense. You have Omega as the raid series, Shinryu as the MSQ series. That's a match made in heaven. But a lot of people thought they would be together. And then people still wonder if Omega could show up in the Shinryu Ultimate in some way. But if you think about it, like, thematically, as an Ultimate, what the heck are they going to do? Like, it's more likely like Xenos Ultimate, but even then you'd think that would stretch all the way into Endwalker if they really wanted to do it like all the way through. So what does that leave? We have 24-mans that they could pull and make 8-man version of the bosses. We have Trial Series, the Warring Triad. Yeah, Kefka could be there, but I mean, technically, if they wanted to follow something that matched something that happens in 14, Kefka never interacts with the Warring Triad in 14, but at the same time they did DSR where they said, screw it, we could do whatever we want, so they could do it. But then you have the 4 Lords. A lot of people want an actual Koryu fight as opposed to, you know, the final cutscene with Tenzin and the 4 Lords. And then, of course, you have the Weapon series. We now have the 4 Beasts and Golbez. I'm sorry, the 4 Archfiends and Golbez. And then we have more MSQ. Like, there's other things that aren't just those 2 things. Like, even Hildebrand has like 5 or 4 trials at this point. You know, you've got 3 Gilgamesh trials. You've got the Dragon's Neck Coliseum. Is that all of them? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That's all of them. And then, of course, there's a bunch of story-related stuff you could pull on. But, you know, a Hildebrand Ultimate's unlikely to happen. So, yeah, I just think that the Stormblood MSQ is going to be hard to make interesting. Do you think it'll be Xenos? Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. Like, yes, Tsukuyomi showing up is like, could it happen? Should it happen even? It's not a bad idea. I think Tsukuyomi could absolutely show up, but I don't think she's a good Ultimate. You know, that Yotsuyu and Tsukuyomi are a good Ultimate in their own as a final boss. No. And then even then, with mixing those in with Shinryu and Xenos, it's like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what'll happen, because we won't find out for quite some time, but I don't know what to expect. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi, hope everything's going good. I'd say so. Is there any logical reason why we would choose to spare Thornton in Phase 5 DSR lore-wise instead of killing him? We're not ruthless monsters. Well, at least we're not supposed to be. I totally am. I say kill him. Although the funny thing is, it's more like we're allowing the story to happen correctly, because if you don't do that, you just die anyway. So like, it's almost like it's one of those things where the minstrel's telling the story and the minstrel is writing all of the plot lines, and we have to play through his plot lines. It's less about the decision we would logically make and more about his, I guess, layout of what the new beginning, middle, and end are. The beginning is us dealing with Thornton, or the beginning is us saving Hoshfont and dealing with Thornton, but him begging for forgiveness and us in our I guess, kind of our behavior as a paragon of good, he says, oh, he's sorry, and we let him go. And we have the sword, we have the eye. We don't need to worry about that. Cool. But then Nidhogg gets his eye back, and Nidhogg, more thirsty for revenge than ever, enslaves Hraesvelgr using the stuff from Azys Law. And, then we deal with them, but we can't beat Nidhogg in that state. So he then goes the other route of like, oh, well, if Thornton doesn't show up, then Nidhogg would kill us anyway because of that. So again, he's just writing the plot and we're playing it. And it's less about what we would logically do in that situation. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Howdy, Haps. Hi. I was wondering what is the craziest thing in game you've ever done or attempted. I'm currently walking through the entire MSQ and finished 2.0 last week playing as Black Mage. Yes, this includes all of instance content, no mounts, teleports, returns. I'm not going to lie. If you better have 3 other friends, because if you were in my Duty Finder group and you were walking, even if you explained it to me, I would just say we're pulling the boss without. Like, you'll get teleported into the room. We're not waiting for you. We're not doing that. That's not happening. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's duty support, so it's just the trials. Yeah, and the Crystal Tower. Honestly, in Crystal Tower, I think some people aren't even there. So if you're walking, you're officially better than them anyway. So it doesn't even end up mattering. Anyway, I don't have anything like that. I mean, I just solo stuff as it comes out. I've played a lot of hours. I've done Ultimate Savages. I've done fun stuff. You know what? I'll give you this. I soloed Ifrit hard mode as Blue Mage when it was capped at level 50. And a single attempt after getting full stacks of Echo took about 42 minutes, I want to say, which on top of the extra 15 minutes it took to fully stack Echo basically left me with 3 minutes left on the instance timer. I also did solo ADS turn 2 as Blue Mage. That's on YouTube. I didn't record the Ifrit one because I was just testing to see if it was even possible. I was basically saying, oh, if this is possible, I'll then do it again and record a video. And then when I figured out it was possible for Ifrit, I said there's no way I'm doing that again. Whereas with turn 2, I just kind of went in and tried it and it worked. So yeah, I'd say those 2 things, probably. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello to you and aloha. Well, this is Ivy over here. You can't really see her. So you can kind of see the fluff right here. There you go. See the fluff? She's just sleeping. He's sleeping over behind my PC. Hello to you and aloha and Ivy. Longtime watcher. Welcome. First question of Endwalker. Cool. And have a bonus of a like and a 99 on your next roll. I will take both of those things. Unless my next roll is a completely useless item, in which case, cool. Do you think there will ever be a system to glamour weapon skills or spells such as devolving moves or replacing them with removed moves? Not a bad idea, but I wouldn't be optimistic about such a system. I mean, I've been asking for stuff like this, kind of. I've just been asking for a means to use animations, less to glam them. Like, to make, I guess instead of what you're saying, to make, Reign of Death an emote, for example. Or, to make the pole dance on Dragoons, the Ring of Thorns, to make it an emote. I've more suggested things along those lines, as have others. No, I don't think so, because I don't think they value that, or they think the player base values that enough to develop a whole new system for. Well, yes, technically it is future-proofing, because then when new animations come out and other skills get replaced, you then add them to the list. It's not like you do it and then it only works for the skills from before and then it never gets updated again. But again, I just don't think it's something they're going to value in terms of their time spent, given anything else they could put that effort towards that is more about new things. Hashtag Mr. Happy Cat Mayhem Mondays. No, that's every day. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. What classes do you think need some early game improvements the most? I know USP mentioned improving early game, but I was wondering which ones you thought needed the most love. It's not that bad on most jobs anymore. Maybe the melees? No, not Monk. Dragoon, when it gets reworked, will probably be better early game. Oh, man. Oh, Rogue. Oh, Rogue is so terrible early. Oh my! I think it might be the worst, 1 to 26 job now. I mean, Lancer and Dragoon are not far behind, if at all. If anything, they might be about equal. But yeah, no, those two are at the tippy top of my list. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps, you doing all right? I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. Nice. Good. I didn't even have to ask. Yeah, I suppose you're right about job difficulty. Me personally, I think each role should have at least one simple, easy offering, at least one hard, complex one. Something in between for bloated roles, sub roles. More than one is fine as long as all the bases are covered. I guess seeing all the negativity about the game and particularly about healing had me worried that devs would actually listen to that and make changes that would ruin them forever. But now you mentioned people have been complaining forever. I do worry that the devs will cave in some way. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. Again, people have been complaining forever, but they've made changes based on those complaints, and that's why we have what we have now. Nobody's saying those things. Now people are saying the other thing, and it's like they know they want some super simple, like they've said it themselves. They want some jobs and some roles to be super simple and some to be more complex, and they need to make sure they balance the payoff versus the effort. The problem is that they've often balanced jobs based on one's effort versus another, or one's utility versus another, or one being ranged, or one being melee. The problem is when they do that, you basically put jobs in a box and tell people that they are only useful in certain situations or are not useful in a situation. And then you can also put all this effort in and still just be kind of like subpar. Like I don't know, they've just never gotten that balance right, where like jobs that take a lot of effort versus jobs that are melee. Like they've never gotten the balance between all those different elements right, which is why it's just a matter of deciding how strong a job should be. And I think utility is probably the biggest thing they look at now because they've changed so many other things. So I don't know, there's just so many aspects to it. And as long as a job is fun to play and performs well enough in raid, that's really all that needs to be worried about. Anything else is just making mountains out of molehills. And I hope that they don't ruin that further. And the 2-minute meta really doesn't help. Oh, there was an actual question in all that. I forgot. What's your favorite job within each role to play and why? Monk for melee. I think it's the only fun one in my honest opinion. Like Ninja is second, but like Monk for me just takes the cake. It's more flexible. It's more fast. It's fast and furious, and it's Monk. Caster, Black Mage by far. Summoner, I actually like the aesthetic, but it's a little too brain dead. And Red Mage I've never liked. It just doesn't feel good to me to play. So Black Mage, definitely. That's why I've done a few ultimates on Black Mage. I've done Savage and on Black Mage. It's a lot of fun. Healer, Sage right now, actually. Since the Hollows buff especially, I've loved Sage. And it's not just because it's the DPS healer. It's just it just feels good to be good on it. And there's a lot of tools that are like available constantly that just make you feel like you're constantly contributing to so many situations that, I don't know, I really like it. Tank, Paladin is my favorite aesthetically. I play Warrior the most because I'm not a tank main, so I go with the easiest one. But Paladin, for sure. I think overall, just too much button bloat is the only problem with Paladin for me right now. For ranged, kind of tough. Bard, technically, I think is my favorite, but it's so much effort to just not do well that I can't help but lean more on Dancer or Machinist. And I think right now I definitely lean on Dancer. Is that all the roles? Yeah, that's all the roles. So there you go. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. It's something in my eye that I tried getting out, and I think it's just... Oh, there we go. There was like cat hair. I think there's still some a little bit in here. Hello. And in case you need more, greetings ×2. Thank you. Crafting... You are in the wrong place. Let's say the realm you and Sly discussed how the crafting relic... No, Sly told me, and I accepted what he said, because I don't know any better. 1 point of observation, it's the same item level now, and presumably they may have more endgame crafting grinding with at least 1 more relic step and 2 more 6.x5. Do you think they're setting up to have the crafting relic be better than the crafter main hand by the end? Maybe, but even if they do, by that point, there's still not much a purpose in that if you've already been doing it. Most people just accept that it's for shiny. It's like the combat relic. Like the combat relic's not useless, but if you're doing high-end content already, it's not better than any of that stuff until the end of the expansion. It's a big difference in gauging what they think is useful or what they think is a good idea with crafting and gathering versus combat jobs, because they just don't function the same. But yeah, I mean, they probably are gearing up for it to be the best by the end of the expansion, but that's the most useless place for it to be the best. Whereas at least a combat relic, when it's the best at the end of the expansion, has some valuable use. This, less so. Hashtag, oh my goodness, this one was 3 hours ago. Hey, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Not so suddenly Questions. Was watching your video about the relic, and near the end you called the current relics hand-me-downs. Would the older relics be put in the same category, or do those relics have a measure of prestige? At the very least, there's some effort put forth for the other ones. These ones are like the bare minimum effort, like you would get them without even trying. The other ones, even if you could passively get it from doing activities daily, that would be one small part of it, and there would usually be some part where you had to at least consider or focus on a particular element of it. Prestige, not the right word, but they weren't as here's a freebie most of the time as the current ones are, where, you know, you do a few hunt trains, maybe your roulettes for a few days, and bam, you've got a whole relic, a whole step completed with barely any time set. In fact, every time a new step comes out, you probably just buy the first step, like outright, because you probably are like, oh, I have 1,500 tomes, easy, bam, done. And if you don't, you'll have them soon enough. So yeah, no, it's just there's no effort involved in the current ones. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hi. I'm in the market for a new headset and saw you were sponsored with SteelSeries. Yeah, I've been sponsored since like, 2018 at this point? Wow, it's been a while. My question being a two-parter, which headset do you prefer, and does your discount code apply also with ongoing sales? So no, if there's a sale that's better than my discount code, use the sale. They do not stack. You cannot stack promotions. But I always encourage, like, I'm paid, you know, SteelSeries pays me not just based on affiliate. You know, they are my sponsor, so they pay because I talk about them constantly, and they're a constant fixture on my stream, and they're a permanent fixture across like all facets of my content. So you don't have to worry about whether or not my discount code or my link is used. You should always get the best deal for you. But that being said, I do get kickback on the individual sales, so if you ever do that, it's appreciated. As for the first question, my favorite one are the most expensive one ever since I've been working with them, the Siberia 800s way back when, and then eventually the Arctis Pro Wireless, and now the Arctis Nova Pro Wireless. I always like the ones with the exchangeable batteries because honestly, I just hate having a wire on my head at any point. So that's the big thing with these that I like, these are the ones that I currently have, is that this is magnetic. And if I ever need to swap my headset battery, it's got a dock, and then I just do that. And I'm good for usually like a day and a half on the battery life on these. So there you go. And then just slap that back on because it's magnetic. Maybe give it a spin to make sure it's fit, and then you're all good to go. But yeah, that's why I use these, because I really enjoy that convenience. I'm not like an audiophile or anything, so I don't judge them solely based on that. Which is why for most people, I recommend the Arctis 3.5 or 7. The 9 is fine too, but the 3.5 and the 7 have always been around, and the 9 it's not something I'm as knowledgeable about, so I don't like to recommend it. The 3 Bluetooth in particular has the great dual functionality of being able to connect to two devices at once, one via Bluetooth and one via a wired connection. So you are able to feed two audio channels into one thing, which is really useful. The 5 is just the solid standard, easy choice if you just want a wired headset that's comfy and works well. And then the 7 is a wireless option that doesn't go to the extremes. It's just you plug it in to charge it, and that's good to go. So those would normally be the ones I would tell people to go towards. But if you're someone with some extra income and you want to get the full-blown Arctis Nova Pro wireless, that's my personal favorite. I just like wireless headset. More than anything, I really feel like I need a wireless headset. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good morning, Mr. Happy. It's good afternoon for me, but it'll be morning for you, so good morning to you too. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. You're doing okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I wanted to mull this over in my brain. I agree with Zeno that the weapon you get from Ultimate should be a little bit easier to get, even if I'll never get one. He didn't say Ultimate. He didn't say Ultimate weapons should be easier to get. He said gear from Savage should be easier to get so you can go into Ultimate. Ultimate weapons you get from beating Ultimate, those don't ever get easier. But it's just the access. It's the problem of, oh, that Ultimate thing looks really cool, but the raid tier is still locked. So let me go do 8 weeks of clearing the whole thing to make sure that I actually have the loot, unless I get lucky and I actually win things. So just for the correction there. However, as a filthy casual, I do think that those who venture into complete content should get something that a player like me can never get. Yeah, I've always been in it's okay to have stuff that only a few people get, because it acts as a moniker of that person's dedication and their loyalty and their skill or their dedication. Like things like that I really like to see. And I always reference the AQ40 mount from Vanilla WoW, the Encourage mount, the black Khuja tank. I think shit like that's cool. I don't feel like I missed out by not even having a chance to get it. You know, I don't feel that way. I don't envy pixels, I suppose. But I also think that it's a fine line to walk that causes a lot of backlash if you don't do it properly. So I don't even know what I would consider fair compensation. I think that world first titles are probably not a good idea. Even like week 1 or 2 titles are probably not a good idea. It's so hard to, there's like right now. So Destiny 2 just had their new raid release. So they had challenge mode. And for the first, 48 hours, it's like 30 light levels higher. And then after that, it goes away. And that to me is kind of weird. Now, I'm not super well versed in Destiny anymore. I haven't been for some years now. But as far as I know, that doesn't come back. So there's no way for a player to go through the challenge mode and kind of get their, like, check to see if their skill is improved. I don't know. To me, there's no reason to make that only 48 hours as opposed to just making it its own mode. Or to like at least bring it back at some point. But Destiny, from what I understand, is all sorts of weird stuff with their content releases. So it's hard to even for me judge it in a nutshell. But yeah, no, I don't think so. I think just people know that they've done something week 1, week 2. They have, recordings or videos and it's memories. I don't think you need to give them anything else other than that. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hi. Is there a search function for teleporting? If there is, there's a favoriting system. No, I even if there is, I don't think I've ever used it because I have like a few ways of getting around the map. One of them is honestly just opening my map and clicking on the aetheryte itself. You can actually hold control and then left click to push an aetheryte to the front. If you haven't watched my Things People Don't Know in Final Fantasy XIV video, then that's rife with a bunch of very good ones. But for search, I don't recall. I just know where they all are and I know them by name. But I guess it's not a bad idea. Put it on the list of things they absolutely could do. All right, and that's the last like full-blown question. There's like a couple of like really short, like ones like how you doing? We know how we're doing, so how are you doing? And I told you how I'm doing, so I'm doing all right. And another one that was asking, what's my favorite ice cream flavor? The chocolate peanut butter, by far. Just big fan, especially with the big chocolate peanut butter chunks in them. Oh, I haven't had that in so long. But other than that, everything else here is just, comments, people talking about the JRPG thing from last week. And then I hope Happy eats and takes a nap before. Listen, I'll get my sleep tonight, but daylight saving, boy, do I hate it. Some comments about the questions from last week. Somebody saying that you had a comment from someone who's a drag queen in Chicago. I don't think it's that person. I think it's somebody who appreciates them, who like uses their name as like just... it's like their handle, like it's based on that, or maybe it's not. I don't know, but I don't think it was that person in particular. I do think I have a few because they like YouTube sends you notifications when like other people who regularly create content, or at least I get them, when they follow you on YouTube. It's kind of like on Twitter when someone you follow or someone with a lot of following like likes or like follows you or something, it like gives you a notification, which is weird, by the way. But either way, like I'm pretty sure I have a few drag queens or whatnot on there. And I always find, because my now ex, Mel, she's a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. We've been to a few, I think 1 or 2 drag shows together as well. And yeah, so I always like to go and tell her. I'll be like, do you know who this person is? I always go and she tells me she either knows them or doesn't know them and whatnot. So that's always a fun little thing. A few more questions about the algorithm. There's one question asking if Golbez is more powerful than the Cloud of Darkness or Queen Skothic, referring to the rungs of power in the Void. And I'd assume he's at the very top. Like it's like if not equal to Cloud of Darkness, then above. And Skothic for sure, definitely equal to or above, especially if what we're suspecting about him is true, given where 6.3 ended, then yeah, he's going to be stronger than any of them by a mile. He's also, I'm willing to bet we find out he's largely responsible for the Void as a whole. Like there's got to be some degree of guilt that he like really blames himself for all this stuff. So I'm willing to bet that a lot of the Void and its origins dial back to Golbez himself. And then a few other comments to go through as well. Either way, thank you for asking your questions for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and ask your questions in the comment section of the video below. I am going to go work on that deep dungeon guide, but I'll promise to take it easy since it has been quite the day. It's been a long day. I'm a little tired. But with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. And until then, take care.